Hey y'all, welcome back to 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk podcast. I am your host, Mia. So listen, this segment it's really about opening up a conversation that too many people avoid. I want to talk about the mental and emotional weight many drivers carry on the road, the isolation, the pressure, the long hours, the distance from family, and heck, reality sometimes. The I'm good or I'm cool or I'm straight, knowing that that is not the truth. I also want to remind families and friends not to assume that their loved one is just okay just because they said that they are. Check on them. Like for real, check on them. Ask them deep questions. Pay attention because people can be surrounded by these trucks and by the noise and the movement and still literally be completely alone. So, this segment, we are talking about the part of trucking nobody wants to talk about, the driver's mental health. Let's get into it.
You're listening to the 10 Radio with Mia. 23 years in the game, still shifting gears, still dropping gems, and still gorgeous truck her strong.
Before we start, do me a favor and lock in with the show. You can listen to 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Gorgeous Truck Hers, and subscribe on YouTube at 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk. Now, welcome to 10-4 Radio. I'm your host, Mia, or as most call me, your favorite trucking auntie. Let's get into it.
Artlist.io.
Okay, y'all. So, listen. All right. So, today's conversation is, I will call a heavy one. Again, the part of trucking nobody likes or wants to talk about, mental health. So, what sparked this for me to do this segment is I came across a story and it really just stopped me in my tracks. I'm sorry, I'm moving too fast because I read it and I was like, oh my goodness. So I want to read what the article says. So according to the Fox 4 Beaumont, deputies in Jefferson County, Texas, were called to a Love's travel stop on Smith Road off Interstate 10 on March 10th, 2006, where a man was found dead inside of a parked tractor trailer. Authorities later identified him as a 42-year-old truck driver from Amarillo. And the police chief said the death is being considered a suicide. An autopsy was ordered, and officials said the case remains under investigation. Reports also said the truck had reportedly been parked there since Friday, March 6th. So let me say this right now. I'm not here to sensationalize this man's death. I'm not here to turn somebody's pain into gossip or clicks or roadside commentary. I'm here because stories like this that should this should focus us to stop and deal with the conversation this industry has been, ducking for so long. Because the truth is, a lot of people love to talk about trucking when it comes to money, right? Money, the freedom, hustle, independence, and to run and go get the bag. But people get real quiet when it's time to talk about loneliness, right? And the depression that comes with it. They get real quiet when you talk about the anxiety. They get real quiet when it's time to talk about what it feels like to be thousands of miles from home, mentally exhausted, emotionally drained, and still expected to keep the truck between the lines like nothing's wrong. That part right there, that is the part nobody wants to talk about. And I'm going to talk about it today. Because drivers go through so many things out here that many people will never understand. Yes, this industry can be a blessing. Yes, trucking can change lives. Yes, it can provide opportunity, structure, and a way out. But let's not play games either. It can also be isolating. It can also be stressful. It can wear on your body, your mind, your emotions, your relationships, and shoot, your sense of self if you're not careful. So, I looked up a study from the National Institute of Mental Health, and it says that long haul truck drivers may experience stress and depression because of isolation, long work hours, or irregular work or rest schedules. I mean, and then also it mentioned that being away from family and friends. National Institute of Mental Health also notes that truck drivers may deal with unclear expectations from employers and customers, violence, discrimination, and all which can affect mental health. That matters. That matters because sometimes people think mental health struggles mean weakness. No, no. Sometimes it means somebody has been carrying too much for too long with nowhere healthy to put it. That's what that could mean. It doesn't mean weakness. And in trucking, I mean, the loads get heavy real fast. Let's talk about what that can look like. So, what can mental health issues look like? It can look like a driver being under pressure to make delivery times while fighting fatigue, right? It can look like sitting alone for hours and days with nothing but your own thoughts, stress, bills, family issues, and life problems. They were all riding with you right there. It can look like missed birthdays, funerals, school events, anniversaries, and those regular, those regular everyday moments that really keep you emotionally connected to your people. It can look like pretending you're fine. It can look like you just smiling and always cracking jokes because you feel like nobody wants to hear what you got going on. Nobody cares. It can look like being the strong one for everybody else while quietly falling apart yourself. And the thing about this life is that the truck, the thing about all that I just said, guess what? The truck has to keep moving, even when the person inside is struggling. Yeah, your dispatch still on your case. They still calling your phone, trying to figure out what time you gonna get there. When you gonna get moving? I see you've been sitting. They can track that, but ain't nobody checking in to see how you doing. That man sat there for 2 days. I'm sure his dispatch was calling him because I'm sure he had a load to deliver. They didn't call him to check on his mental health. They didn't know that man had did what he did to himself. Guarantee they was calling just because the load or the truck hadn't moved and they need to figure out why that load ain't where it need to be. This is why this conversation matters. It's just a real sad situation. Um, that's why I said when I read this, I said I want to talk about it because apparently, you don't see a lot of people talking about it, and it's a thing. It's like everybody wants to glorify everything else. Well, what about your depression that you're not telling nobody about? Let's talk about that, right? So there's actual research showing this is not just a feeling and what did it say? The research was this is not just a feeling and not just being soft or something like that. The National Institute of Mental Health summary cited truck driver mental health research. It reported that, let me get my notes right, y'all. I got chicken scratch. I got doctors writing. It reported that loneliness was reported by 28% of truck drivers. Um, Depression was 27%, and anxiety was 21%. And then other emotional problems was 13%. Let that sink in. That means that means a whole lot of people are out here carrying more than just freight. Yeah. Now, I want to say something to the families, the spouses, the children, the friends, and even the homeboys. They got the homeboy that's the driver. Please stop assuming that your people is okay just because they said I'm good. They said I'm straight. Ah, shoot, I'm making money. No, check on them for real. Not the lazy check-ins, not the drive-by texts. Just hollering at you. No, not the little you goods while you half doing something else because you just kind of in routine just to send a quick text. No, really check on them. My boy, friend, how are you mentally? How's your mentality? How are you handling being out there on the road? How you sleeping? Are you stressed? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Do you need to talk for real? No, I'm here, friend. My boy, no, I'm here, right? Sometimes people answer if I'm fine or I'm cool. They do that because they don't want to feel like a burden. Sometimes they answer I'm good because they've been trained to keep pushing no matter what. They know ain't nobody coming to save them anyway. That's how they feel. And sometimes they say, I'm good, I'm okay, because they don't even know how to begin to explain everything that they carrying. You could be feeling something and not necessarily know how to express that. This is why your presence matters. This is why follow up matters. This is why paying attention matters. If you got a homeboy, you got a homegirl, y'all been rocking for a while, your husband, your wife, you should know their patterns. You know what ain't them versus what seems like it could be them, or something seems a bit off. Um, I looked up another study, one from, well, both of them, the National Institute of Mental Health as well as the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. And both of those emphasize that suicide is complex, it says, and can involve factors like mental illness, substance misuse, trauma, painful losses, chronic illness, and social isolation. They also stress that knowing warning signs and acting early can help save lives. Now, I want to be careful here because not every, and I'm not saying every person who is tired or quiet in a crisis um, are signs of like serious help. I'm not saying just because some people is just naturally that type, right? I'm not saying just every person that's quiet is in a crisis. But there are signs people should take seriously. Um I was talking to one of my cohort members a couple of days ago, and he was mentioning about his buddy committing suicide, and said that often his friend would joke and just say like I'm just, I think he said he would say like I'm just tired of being here, like what's the use of being here, and but he would say it in a joking way, and my friend was saying that they would just kind of be like, nah, man. And he said he would always give him words of encouragement because he would hear him, but his friend was joking with him, but he would still give him words of encouragement like, no, you matter, you, nah, man, you good, you know. And then at one point, I guess they wind up getting separated. I can't remember the full story, but I don't know if they was military or if somewhere they were staying together, but ultimately they wound up getting separated. So the friend had to go to one area and my friend had to go to another area. And not too long after that, his friend wound up committing suicide. This is why showing up matters. Again, this is why presence matters. This is why paying attention matters. I just thought of that story because, again, we just had that conversation a few days ago, and this was a perfect segment to mention that. Um, so yeah, there again, there are signs. I mean, that can include, like I just talked about, feeling hopeless, feeling trapped, feeling like a burden, withdrawing from people, right? Dramatic mood changes, increased substance abuse. That's including alcohol, because I know sometimes people don't want to include alcohol as a substance. No, it's a substance. It can alter your personality, and yeah. Um, what's another thing? Talking more about death or acting like they're saying their goodbyes. And according to the National Institute of Mental Health, these kind of behaviors and feelings are warning signs that somebody may need help right away. So again, to my point I was saying before, just because somebody's quiet doesn't, I'm not saying that everybody that's quiet is in a crisis, but again, there are signs. Um, so I just think we should, I'm not saying we should panic over over bad days. We all have bad days. I have them. You hear me? So just because somebody or your friend is having a bad day, I'm not saying panic because you see them having a bad day. But we also should not ignore patterns. Patterns never lie. Patterns never lie, never lies. And that brings me to another point. Trucking culture has to do better. The industry has a bad habit of glorifying survival while ignoring wellness. What do I mean by glorifying survival? So, we praise people for pushing through everything. Man, you so strong. We praise people for never stopping. We praise people for always being available. We praise people for being hard. We praise people for being built different. But let me tell you, being burned out, that's not a badge of honor at all. Being emotionally numb, that's not a strength. Who told y'all that? Living in living in constant stress, that's not successful. That's not success. And then making people feel ashamed to ask for help is not toughness. That's ignorance. A lot of drivers have learned to suffer in silence because silence feels safer than judgment. They may worry that if they speak up, people will call them weak. They may worry about how it affects their job. They may worry about being misunderstood. They may worry about nobody will take them seriously until it's too late. That's the problem. Stop glorifying that. We have to change that. So, this is where I want to shift from pain to responsibility. We can talk, I can be on here and I'm talking about, anybody that knows me know, if I'm talking about an issue that I see, or if I'm talking about a problem, now the next question is, well, what's the solution? Right? What can we actually do? So, first, drivers need space where they can be honest without feeling punished for being human. That's first. That might mean having one trusted friend, a mentor, a spouse, pastor, counselor, fellow driver you can really talk to, not just joke with, not just vent to halfway. No, really talk to. Second, families need to learn how to check in better. Not every conversation has to be heavy, but it does need to be real. Don't just ask about the truck. Don't just ask about the money. Don't just ask, when they coming home. Ask about them. Ask them how they're feeling. Third, companies need to stop acting like mental health is separate from safety. And if y'all know me, y'all know I'm big on safety. Mental health is safety. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna sit back on that one. Mental health is safety. Them two are not separate. Companies need to stop acting like those two are two totally different things. They're not. If a driver is distracted, sleep deprived, emotionally overloaded, isolated, or using substances to cope, which they shouldn't be, but that's a safety issue. The National Institute of Mental Health explicitly connects truck driver stress, depression, fatigue, and job demands with health and safety concerns. Yeah. Fourth, drivers need practical habits that protect their mind, not just their logs. Yeah. Now, what does that mean? What does that look like? That means building intentional routines on the road. That means scheduling regular calls home, getting out of the truck and actually walking and moving your body and, you know, doing something active, reducing isolation when possible, eating something decent when you can, which is why healthy choices definitely need to be something that is implemented into the trucking culture. That's a whole nother topic that I'll get into later. Protecting your sleep, taking moments to reset mentally before you hit the next leg of your trip. None of that fixes everything. And I'm not saying that, but let's be honest. Sometimes survival starts with small, consistent things. Fifth thing, we need more peer support in the industry. I mentioned previously in one of my other segments about mentorship. That's important. Sometimes a driver will talk to another driver before they talk to anybody else. That matters. Peer support is not therapy, but it can be the bridge to help. And when I looked it up, research found that co-drivers or social support can reduce loneliness and job-related depression. So, we need more safe conversations at the yard, more mentorship, more you good for real talks, more community, more checking on the quiet ones and not just avoiding them because you think something wrong with them or you think they're weird. No, check on them. What is it gonna hurt for you to say, "Hey, you good? You all right? How the road treating you? How's your mental? Let's walk and talk." That will make somebody's day. More paying attention when somebody disappears into themselves. That's all I'm saying. Now, for anybody's listening who has a driver or who knows drivers, maybe your significant other is a driver. Just check on your people. That's all I'm saying. Now, I'm about to talk directly to the drivers. I Come in. Let me talk to you. Listen to me. You are not weak because this life gets heavy sometimes. You are not broken because the road has been hard on you. You are not less of a man or less of a woman, less of a provider or less of a professional because you need a little help. You know what you know what you are? My camera. You know what you are? You're human. That's what you are. Sometimes humans, we get tired. Sometimes humans, we get hurt. Sometimes humans, we need support. And that does not make you unfit to be respected. It makes you real. That is just, it's life. That's all. So hear me clearly, drivers. Don't wait until you're drowning to reach out for help. If you see up here in the corner, the QR code, that is to the 988 helpline. If you need help or if you're feeling some type of way, you just want to talk to somebody, scan the QR code. It'll take you directly to the website. Okay? If you're not feeling if you feel yourself slipping, talk to somebody early. If your thoughts are getting darker, talk to somebody early. If you feel disconnected from yourself, talk to somebody early. If you've been carrying too much for way too long, talk to somebody early. Because too often people wait until it becomes an emergency. And that's we don't want it to get there. So the National Institute of Mental Health, it helps, it steps for helping someone who may be thinking about suicide, so again, scan the QR code. They are a great resource. Connect with them. Don't wait till the last minute. Okay? If somebody's on your mind, if somebody is on your mind or that and you're sitting there listening to this podcast right now and then you're like, yeah, they've been off a little lately. Don't overcomplicate it. Ask them, be there, help them get connected, follow up, send them the number, scan the QR code form and send it to them. If you are the one struggling, like I said, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available. It's by call or text or chat 24/7. Again, they offer mental health, suicide, and substance abuse related crisis. National Institute of Mental Health is free and confidential. And so if you don't want your identity known, you can keep it strictly confidential. Also, I want to mention that there are trucking specific support organizations out there as well. The what is it? The St. Christopher Trucker Development and Relief Funds, I believe is what it's called. I'm gonna have to fact check that, but I think that's what I wrote. Listen, my handwriting is horrible. But yeah, the St. Christopher Trucker Development and Relief Fund. They help over the road drivers and their families facing illness or injury, and they also offer health and wellness support resources. So Visit that website. I'll post that in the description after I get off of here. So before I close, I want to come back to the story that started the conversation. A man lost his life. A family lost somebody they loved. And somewhere in all of this is a reminder that pain does not always make noise. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's quietly in a truck stop. Sometimes it hides behind, routine or work. Sometimes it looks like another load, another day, another I'm all right, I'm cool. This is why we have got to pay attention. The industry needs more than just better equipment. It needs more than better pay. It needs more than better technology. It needs humanity. Yeah. We need to stop treating drivers like machines with a CDL. These are people with pressure, people with heartbreak, people with financial burdens, people with family issues, people with trauma, people with loneliness, people with needs. And if we can normalize talking about pre-trips and back-end and safety and hours of service and crash prevention and compliance, then we can also normalize saying mental health matters too, because it does. So to every family listening, check on your people. For real, check on your people. To every company listening, your driver wellness efforts need to go deeper than just your slogan. To every driver listening, your life matters beyond that load. And to the industry as a whole, we cannot keep saying safety matters while refusing to address the mental and emotional health of the people behind the wheels. That part matters too. That's all I'm saying. So if you're listening to this, share it. If you know a driver that needs to hear this, send it to them. If you love a driver, check on him today. Not tomorrow. Today. And if you're struggling, don't sit with that by yourself. Reach out. Scan that code. Text 988. All right? All right, y'all. I'm going to end this. I know I've been talking y'all ear off, but this I felt was something that really needed to be talked about. So please make sure that you like, share, subscribe on on YouTube. Also, make sure that you go like, share, and subscribe at Gorgeous Truck Hers on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of that fun stuff. Make sure just to stay locked in for when I do go live or when I post content. I would love you guys' feedback and your thoughts. So, all right, talk to you guys later. Be safe. Keep it between the lines. 10-4, 10-4.
Thanks for watching. Back when I'm better.